So I ask you to just go over what is a Fiori and what are the applications called and what is the purpose of it. Can you just explain me? What is your understanding? Neha, if you're talking, you're in mute. Okay, not an issue. In a previous video, we discussed, let's say in a previous class, we discussed what is SAP, what is SAP, and why every need it, need it. And again, so in terms of ERP application, we also got to know in SAP we have SAP ECC and SAP S4 HANA. What is the difference? What is SAP? Mm, who is it? Is it only for you or for others also? Can somebody confirm me? Hey Sujit, maybe you have some network issue. Just get it fixed. Okay. So we've discussed what is SAP, why every organization needed SAP, and in SAP we got to know there is a SAP ECC and there is a SAP S4 HANA also. Okay, but I just want to understand again in a simple words, what is SAP? It's a system application and production data processing, right? So the next question answer also falls here only. Why every organization needed SAP or any ERP system? Because they need to record their business transactions, the day-to-day daily transaction in any system. It can be Oracle, it can be PeopleSoft, it can be JD Edwards, it can be Tally, anything. So among them, SAP is one of the application, right? So I've also told you SAP was introduced in when it was introduced, 1972, right? So initially it was, yeah, yes, it was a R1 system. We call it as initially they call it as R1 system. It's a real time and first generation SAP system they call it as. But when it was no became a famous, you guys can talk. 1990, yes, in 1993 it got a famous and it was user and it was no bought by many of the customers in the market. So what does it mean by R? What does it mean by R? I told you already, right? Real time, right? Data. Sorry, I didn't get you. It's a, so three is a triers. So three is a tier. R is a real-time data replication. We call it as. What are the three tiers? What does it mean by three? Can anyone tell me? Application. So you're saying still you have a issue with the screen? That could be your network issue. Okay. The first one is application. The other one is database. The third one is client. So who have already learned SAP, maybe who worked on, maybe they have a little awareness on what is meant by application, what is meant by database, what is meant by client. If you are not aware also, it's fine. You are going to learn everything. Okay. So it is good to learn if you don't know. If you already know it, it's good to have it. So now in every software application there will be a further research and development. Why there is a further research and development is needed? Can any one of you tell me? Why do we need to have a research and development always? What happens if we don't have that? Correct. Correct. So if you take a simple example, maybe in the past we have as mobiles like which are only used for mostly to have a call and do a text messages, right? But nowadays mobile is doing almost everything, right? So in a mobile you can do calls and messages is a little part, but apart from that you can have like a camera you can use and you can have a beautiful pictures and you can have a recording. Anything you can do it with the support of internet, right? Why? Still they are working on further more features and they are bringing new modules, new features into it, right? Why? Because if you want to be there in a top in a market, any product you are selling, you want to be top, you want to be brand number one. Always you have to spend time to reinvent, rethink, and come up with a new design or a new offers to the customers, right? Then only you will stand as a number one. Otherwise, that is not possible. There is a lot of competition in simple words. That is the reason SAP also initially they've started. They don't have a big market. They struggled a lot. Later they got a big breakthrough in 1993 because of these three tires only. When in a real-time market, if anybody is talking about SAP, they call it as, "Hey, I'm working in R3 system. I'm working in R3 system." What does it mean? The version which was introduced in 1993, the system got famous. In that system, that guy is working. Inside R3, there are again versions. Okay. Anybody knows what is the latest version which is very famous in SAP ECC? In SAP ECC, anybody know? EHP 8 was the correct. Okay. Correct. Okay. Correct. 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 You guys correct. In SAP, the latest version is 6.0. Inside a 6.0 also, there are multiple upgrades and versions they have come up. And as you said, the latest version is EHP 8, which is available from when? 2016, right? From 2016 onwards in the market, EHP 8 is available. I forgot to write it 8. EHP 8. This is available in the market, right? You guys already know it. Yesterday also I've told in a previous class. This is what SAP. Then what happened in 16? In 16 it was. Yeah. So before this there is SAP S. Correct, correct. That's what I'm coming. Yes. Correct, correct. You're correct. Okay. Wait a second. So as EHP 8 is introduced in 2016. Okay. After that, they have stopped investing R&D on SAP ECC. Why? Why they have stopped investing on R&D? What happened? In 2015, yeah, 2015, right? In 2015, what they have done? They have come up with SAP S4 HANA. Why they need to rename the system as SAP S4 HANA. What happened to SAP ECC? It's working so far good and many customers are being used across the world. What happened? What happened? SAP ECC uses database of let's say Oracle. Correct, correct. DB2, SQL. Microsoft Dynamics. Okay, likewise, if any customer want to buy a SAP license they have to buy from SAP SE, and again they need to buy from third party vendor the database support, right? So it's a tedious job, and to operate two vendors not that easy, and the cost wise also a little high if you compare with other ERP applications. So that is where SAP is losing the business. No? They thought of bringing their own database, and I've told already in 2010 onwards they've started research and development. Finally, by 2015, they've introduced one release, that is SAP S4 HANA. What is mean by S? Can anybody tell me what is mean by S? Correct. It is a shoot or simplified. Okay. What is meant by 4 then? Nothing big. It's a fourth generation. Generation. R3 is a third generation. This is the fourth generation. Okay. S means shoot. You can call it as simplified. You can call it as fourth generation. You can call it as. Okay. Any name you can call it as. So, so far then many of the customers are already using SAP ECC. But SAP is saying from 2015 onwards, I've started selling SAP S4HANA. What will happen to the existing customers who are on SAP ECC? What SAP told is, hey, after 2017, after 2027, I am not going to support SAP ECC. What does it mean? What does it mean? Can anyone tell me? So simple. So anyway, I've come up with a new system. I named it as SAP S4 HANA, and this I have my own database, including my own database. I have a user experience, better user experience, which can be operated from your tablet, your mobile, anywhere if you have internet. And role-based no, functionality I brought up that we call it as a Fiori, including database and user experience. They've also uh, brought some functionalities also, and let's say in FI they've bought some functionalities, in CO they bought some functionalities. Likewise, in each product, each module wise they brought up some additional functionalities. So anyway, I have a new system in a place. Why I need to bother in my previous system, let's say, which is already old now? So what does it mean is, already somebody, you buy a system, if you have a critical issue of what you do, if you fail to fix this issue, you need a support from SAP, right? SAP has all the information related to that application. After buying a license, you stuck up with any issue. However, you have a solution managers, architects in SAP, you have a knowledge also, still they fail to fix your issue. That time, what is your final source? You will reach to the SAP to get that issue fixed, right? So likewise, every client will go to SAP for few of the concerns where we don't have a straightforward solution. Everybody will go. Maybe I'll tell you in a real time scenarios how to approach them, what is the process and all. I'll show you. Okay. So if you come up with any concern related to SAP ECC, I am able to support you until 2027 only. After that, if you come with any concern, I am telling you now only, I will not support you. Why? Because my all target, everything is on SAP S4 HANA. Now, no more on SAP ECC. So if you buy an application from my end, I need to inform you, right? I need to give all the communication to you. What is happening in the application side? What is coming new? Everything information I need to communicate to you, right? That is my responsibility. Otherwise, what you'll do, you'll put a case against me. I bought a course of application from you. You didn't tell me after 2027 you are not going to support me. If there is any communication, how would I know, right? I don't know. So that is the reason SAP already communicated all the clients currently who are using SAP ECC. And if you go to them and if you ask for any new license, they'll not sell you SAP ECC HP8. Okay. They'll straightforward tell you, we are offering SAP S4 HANA. You go for it and you buy it. I hope so far it is clear, right? Or any concerns? Clear. And now you will get one more concern. Anyway, till 2017, SAP ECC will work. But from 2015 onwards, SAP has its own database. Now, can somebody answer me? In SAP ECC, can we use HANA database? So we'll get this question right. Why I need to unnecessarily pay extra money to, let's say, Oracle database, DB2, SQL, Microsoft Dynamics? The customers will think, right? Still, I have 5 more years to go. If I reduce 10% of my operating cost, also that is a benefit for me. So, is there any option? Can we use in SAP ECC system HANA database? Can anybody tell me? That is system, landscape transformation. You're telling. Okay, so that is usually like you have one system SAP ECC, you have one system Tally, you have one system PeopleSoft. You want to bring everything into SAP S4 HANA. You have a simple finance, and with that you can bring it. My question is here: you are using strictly SAP ECC, maybe HP7 or EHP8, whatever version you are using, but currently you are using a database Oracle. Can you bring instead of Oracle HANA database? The answer is yes, it is possible. It is possible. So, what we call it as SOH. What we call it as SOH. What does it mean? Shoot on HANA. It's not S4 HANA. You please remember, I didn't write anything S4 HANA here. I'm just talking about old ECC system is now using HANA database. This we call it as shoot on HANA. In a market, there are few customers. The minute SAP has introduced their own database to reduce the further cost, they have migrated their databases from other third-party vendors to SAP only. This we call it as a shoot on HANA. Is it clear or any doubt here? But here there is a one condition. If your SAP ECC system is should be SAP ECC EHP 7 and above, then only this is possible. Got it? Understood? So you just say yes or no. Okay. Shoot on HANA, or else we call it as SAP Business Suite powered by SAP HANA. SAP no S4 HANA. Here we don't write anything S4 HANA. Either you call it as SOH or SAP Business Suite provided by SAP HANA. This is how it will work. The next question I'll ask you, okay, can we use SAP S4 HANA with non-HANA database? Can somebody tell me? These all questions will come in your certification. If you wish to go for a certification, then definitely you will get these questions. Okay, the answer is no. SAP S4 HANA only runs on HANA database. Okay, clear? Clear or not clear? Okay, I'll take it as it. Okay. So I'll take it as a clear, and let's discuss few things in SAP S4 HANA. Mainly three things are no newly came. One is already we discussed. One is database. The other one is user experience. Okay, UA, that we call it as a Fiori, and the other one is functionalities or sir, we call it as features also. Additional features SAP has brought up. Okay. So far, we just discussed on, let's say, high level, what is the difference between SAP ECC and what is SAP S4 HANA. Okay. Now let's go and discuss technical terms, which we are not going to work on these things. But anyhow, if you're learning SAP S4 HANA, you need to understand few technical things which in real time operates by basis consultant. Okay. It's more important to know by basis consultant, not by us. Maybe the freshers who are new to SAP, they'll think what is basis in between. Okay. Like FI, like CO in SAP, there is one more product. It is called basis theme. We call it as basis team. They are for SAP application. They'll take care of SAP application. SAP application will take care of all the business activities and configurations and all. But somebody has to there to know take care of SAP application also. That person is a basis consultant, right? Who all already know this basis thing? I think who have already learned, they know it, right? A basis thing. I'll tell you, I'll introduce all the teams, how the structure will be not built in before you start work, who all are there with you in a team. That we'll discuss anyway. But let's discuss it technical wise, technically, what are the things came into SAP S4 HANA? Can somebody tell me anything? If you know right or wrong, that is fine. You just tell me. What are the things came technically? Okay. Okay. In SAP, there are three layers, right? Three layers. What are they? Can anybody tell me? One is a presentation. That is a system landscape. We have not reached there. We'll go there. Okay. Three layers are like one is a presentation, the other one perfect application, the third one is database. Perfect. These are the three layers. You always have to remember in our SAP application, there are three layers. One is a presentation, how it will be presented to you as a user, as a developer, as a consultant, how system looks like to you. And again, application. Application in the sense, this is a software, SAP raw application. What are the functionalities it has, how it works, how it stores the data, everything belongs to application. Again, whatever the data you process, either you configure, either you create a master data, either end user process a business data, whatever data. So finally, it has to save somewhere that we call it as a database, right? So now if we talk about the technical terms, OLTP. What does it mean by OLTP? It was not there in SAP ECC, right? It was newly no, brought up in SAP S4 HANA. Can somebody tell me what is OLTP? Correct. Transactional processing. AP means analytical processing. Okay. Tarvat. Then next is in memory, right? You guys heard what is in memory? Multiprocessors. Heard or not? Okay. Okay. No problem. You just think. This is online. This is online transaction processing. This is online analytical processing. This one is in memory. I'll tell you what is in memory and multi-process. Okay. So when there is a transaction processor, can somebody tell me what does it mean by transaction? What do we call as a transaction? Can somebody tell me? Don't mind whether it is right or wrong. You just tell me. Correct. 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 Simple example. Let's say you paid a salaries to the employees. That is one transaction, right? Yes. Yes or no? So if your customer is doing a business globally in a sense, he'll sit in a world throughout the world. He'll sit in a different places, right or wrong, right? So somebody is sitting in India, somebody will sit in US, somebody will sit in somewhere of a country, and he'll process a business transactions, right? So at any point in time, if somebody processes one transaction from other place and you are processing some transaction, all the transactions should be consolidated and the final result should be appeared, right? Only the value you posted, all the transaction you did will appear. Will that be a correct report or wrong? Will that be a correct report or wrong? Correct. Correct. That has to be happen, right? So what is not there in SAP ECC then? What is not there in SAP? In SAP ECC also, everybody will post different transactions, and finally the values will be updated, and the final amount only will show you, right? The final figures only will show you, right? But what is happening in SAP ECC? What is especially happening in SAP S4 HANA? It's speed. Hmm. Hmm. Where? Yes. Hmm. Okay. 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 So in SAP S4 HANA, simple to understand, S4 HANA runs on SAP database, right? It's own database HANA. But ECC connect with the third party vendor database, and when you process the data, it has to go there, it has to update, and it will take a fractional report. Let's say if you run a report for 3 years, 2 years, let's say any standard report, actual versus plan value, you was pulling in a controlling state. In real time, if you already you run it, you might be seeing the report will pull maybe 3 minutes, 2 minutes. Sometimes we set up a background job to pull the report, right or wrong, right. So why it is happening in SAP ECC, we have a row-based not data reading. In row-based data reading, and we don't have a multi-process or in-memory logic. Nothing was there. It has to read all the rows from the starting to last row. Everything it has to read, and finally it consolidates and it will show you the result. Okay, it takes a time. And also in SAP ECC, if you guys know it or don't know, there is a reconciliation issue also. Okay, always there will be a reconciliation issue. The user has to perform few month-end activities to know get the reconciliation done. With the S4 HANA, that issue is also gone. Maybe by now, who are already experienced, they got to know there is a table SE Doka, right? You heard or no? Universal Journal, we call it as, right? Correct. Which is a single source of truth, we call it as. What does it mean? So previously, when the data is processed, let's say the open item data will be saved in one table, the cleared items will be saved in one table. So to get the reconciliation done, there needs to be some backend process needs to be run and it has to reflect. But now everything in a transaction time, it is happening under all the single truth. Let's say one place to know all the truth, which is SC Doka. Okay, that is useful for you. Next, coming to OLAP. OLAP in a sense, analytical processing. What does it mean by analytical processing? Analytics, what does it mean by analytics? So, okay, let's say there are financial numbers. Okay, there is a sales for this year. You're seeing in a numbers. The same numbers you are seeing, let's say in a pie chart or a bar chart. What is the big difference? Which is easy to understand by the business? Which is easy to understand? The numbers or the pie charts or analytical reports, which are like user interface. Analytical reports are easy to understand and remember, right? If I'm not wrong, right? Yeah. Analytical reports we can see in SAP S4 HANA. In SAP ECC, it is not possible. We don't have much Fiori functionalities. Maybe I'll ask one more question. SAP, let's say Fiori application only introduced in SAP S4 HANA, that Fiori is also there in SAP ECC. Can anybody tell me quickly? Okay. So in SAP ECC also it is there, okay, but with many restrictions. Many restrictions. If you want to activate it, you can activate it, but it will not have that much efficient data. It has its own limitations. That is one thing. So basically, analyticals and the analytical reports and analytical charts will be coming through Fiori application that we are going to discuss in a system once we access it. Okay, let us now continue with the introduction only. Okay, analytics. You got an idea? Just an idea. What does it mean by analytics? So numbers to, let's say, pie charts or a bar charts. Got it? So what does it mean by in memory? The other feature is other technical functionalities in memory. What is mean by in memory? Can anybody tell me? Why SAP S4 HANA is very fast based on in memory? What does it mean by in memory? In memory is your RAM. What does it mean by RAM in general terminology? What does it mean by RAM? What does RAM will do? Can somebody tell me quickly? What does it mean by RAM? It's a temporary memory, right? Which is helps to run your system faster. If my system has, let's say 6 GB RAM, 8 GB RAM, if other system has a 2 GB RAM, if we compare speed between two systems, whose system will have a more speed? Tell me. Correct. Correct, right? So whose system is having a high RAM configuration and less hard disk configuration will have a speed. Likewise, the person who is having a RAM is less and hard disk is more, their system is lesser speed if you compare, and that is true also. By this thought, what SAP S4 HANA is introduced is in memory. Through the in memory, data will be compressed. Okay, what will happen? whatever the data will be processed, data will be compressed in SAP S4HANA, which is not happening in SAP ECC. In SAP ECC, all the data will be stored in your hard disk in the sense permanent memory, which is a database. But in SAP S4HANA, you have a in memory. In ECC also you have a in memory, but data will, so in SAP ECC also you have a RAM, but data will not be compressed. Okay. And most of the clients don't spend much money on RAM. That is the reason the systems are very slow and it takes a lot of time to run any report. With SAP S4HANA, data will be compressed. Can anyone tell me what is the compression percentage? How much percentage data will be compressed in SAP S4HANA? Compression in a sense, in simple language, we have a zip files, we have a RAR files, right? So in RAR files or a compressed files, will the data losses or the data will be reduced to the memory wise? What will happen? Yeah, but remains data remains same, right? What is your source? The same will be there, right? Yeah. So in memory, what system will do is, let's say you have a 100 TB data, or else 1 TB data. We'll take it as 100 GB. Okay. So will be compressed and it will be in S4 HANA. It will be around 125 GB. Not 125, 200 GB, which is a percentage. If you take 12.5%, in a mathematical way, 1.8%. Okay. 1 by 8th of a data can be reduced in memory wise. What it has a inbuilt functionality. By itself, it will compress and data will be reduced 1 by 8 portion. So it is very best advantage, right, for a customers who are buying. Yes or no? Yeah, that is the reason. That is the best advantage we have in a in memory. And next, we have introduced columnar database. What does it mean by columnar? Somebody already told. Sujita, what is mean by columnar database? So in SAP ECC, data will be, I've told you, data will be stored in a row basis only. Okay. In SAP S4 HANA, including rows, data also will get stored in a row basis. Where does it define the data should be stored in a row basis or only for a column basis based on a database? If you go for Oracle, DB2, SQL, whatever databases, right? Here data will be strictly saved in a rows wise only, not a columns wise. One row, second row, third row, likewise it will store. Okay. In SAP S4 HANA, data will be also stored along with rows, columns also it is stored. What is the advantage by storing the data in columns? What is the advantage? While you are pulling a report, you can use multiple processes. Multi-process you can use. What a multi-process will do while processing a data? Can somebody tell me? If you have a one processor, how it will work? If you have a multiple, let's say you have a three, four processes, how your system work or how your mobile will work? It will work fast, right? It will work faster now. So let's say the previous example I told, let's say I want to run a customer report for last 4 years. Okay. I'm running a data in SAP ECC. And SAP ECC, what it will do, it is not having any in-memory capability. In-memory, that is the reason data is compressing. In S4 HANA, the customers invest more money. Let's say they'll increase RAM size. Whereas in SAP ECC, they'll not spend more money on RAM. But here in S4 HANA, they'll spend more money in RAM. Why? Because they 1 by 8th of a percentage can be compressed. System is compressing and data is storing in rows and columnar basis. Okay, that is the reason they'll invest more money on RAM and their system will be speed. Including speed, they are also introducing multi-processors. What the processor will do is, if you run a data for a 4 years, One processor will read a record from, let's say, 20,000 and above, 20,000 to maybe 40,000. The another processor will read from 40,001 to 60,000. Likewise, it will partition the request, and multi-processors will work together. One will read rows, one will read columns, and the speed will be increased a lot. And the report will be consolidated, and it will be generated sooner if you compare with SAP ECC. How that is possible? Only possible with your in-memory and multiple processes. And you need to remember, in SAP S4HANA, data will be read in two ways, rows and columnar. You have to remember always. Got it? Got it or no? Maybe you are new to it, you don't get this, okay? Who all are having a real-time experience, they know it more on a system, they'll understand this. But anyway, in real time, we don't manage anything. Can somebody tell me, do we manage any RAM? Do we increase the RAM size in real time? Do we install any process? No, right? What all we are discussing here, this is all will be taken care by your basis consultant. We are nowhere involved in this. Okay. We are nowhere involved. This person will take care of this functionalities, including server, including operating system. There are many things will be taken care, but as we are learning a new system, better to know some technical application about knowledge. That's where we are spending some time here. Okay, got it? Okay. So in each point, let's say the presentation side, application side, database side, which is obviously we need to understand presentation wise, which is a Fiore, which is a new thing in SAP S4 HANA. That we'll discuss. Functionalities wise, we'll discuss in FICO. And database wise, we have already discussed it. It will compress, and 1 by 8 portion of the data will be compressed in SAP S4 HANA. That you remember, that is needed. And data will be read on a columnar wise also. That is one thing you remember. When we are starting, what is the table, where it is saving, how it is saving, everything will see. So that you will get a content easier. Okay. Next, let us discuss the priority thing, and most important thing you need to understand is system landscape. Okay, in any IT application, there is a system landscape. Yes or no? Can somebody tell me what is mean by system landscape? What does it mean by system landscape? Okay, I'll tell you. Let me draw the system landscape. Not only in SAP ECC, okay, any IT field, there is a system landscape. Okay, without a system landscape, nothing can be done. Okay, you also need to understand very clearly what is meant by system landscape. If you say in, let's say in your resume, if you put experience, hey, I worked in so and so companies, I worked in one implementation, maybe I worked in two support projects, I worked so and so rollouts. If you mention likewise, they'll ask you for which client you work for, what is your landscape, system landscape, they'll ask. Okay, so that is the reason you should know what does it mean by system landscape. Okay. So in software development, okay, like there is a SDLC, software development system, no, life cycle. So here you have a development system, you have a quality system, you have a production system. Basic, this is a basic system landscape. I'm not telling this is only the landscape every customer has to use. No, I'm not saying that way. I'm just trying to help you to understand a basic system landscape, how it should be. Okay, this is a production. Okay. So now tell me, by seeing this, by now, you got any idea what are we going to discuss? No, no. Okay, leave it. So first thing you should know who is your customer or who is your client. So who is your client? Who is your customer? Let's say we all are here to let's say build a SAP application for Tata Motors. Let's say our target is to build SAP application based on a Tata Motor needs. Based on their business, we are trying to build application for him. Or we are trying to build application for Wipro. Or we are trying to build application for TCS, Tata Consultancy Services. So in this case, for whom you are working, he'll be your customer or he'll be your client in real time. You should understand. Okay. So he'll be your client or he'll be your customer, whatever we call it as. So development system also SAP, quality also SAP, production system also SAP. So these three are SAP systems only. Three boxes are SAP only. Why can't we have one box and we can't do the business? Why can't we configure and let the business use the same application? Why do we need to have a different boxes, the same system? Can somebody tell me? Basic, but basically, whether it is right or wrong, that is secondary. Can you just help me to understand what happened in one system if we have? Okay, okay. Somewhat you told, as per the requirement, no, mandatorily you should have this system landscape. Maybe that way I'll tell you. Mandatorily, at least you have your software, your application landscape should be development, quality, and production. Okay, let us take an example. In your mobile, let's say in a Play Store, you want to use, let's say you want to buy a TV or something. You know, Amazon is the best app, and you installed Amazon application, and you gone for electrics and the TV, and you buy it. Okay. So, and in application, whatever Amazon application available in Play Store, that is Amazon's, sorry, that is Amazon production application. The production application only the places in a Play Store. So production in a sense, which will be operated, which will be used by the users, and they'll generate a revenue. This is a place where they'll do their real business in transactions, and they'll generate a revenue. So you just think in Amazon application, there are 10 categories currently available. Let's say categories, we name it as, let's say clothing you have, let's say groceries you have, let's say you have a pantry, let's say you have Amazon Pay dedicatedly for, let's say, pocket, and you have, let's say, different 10 categories of functionalities out there in application which is available in a Play Store. Amazon thought, let's say, hey, why can't we do a business on accessories? Let's say I want to do a business on car or trucks accessories also. I want to sell to the users. They thought of it. So if they have, let us assume, if they have only one application which is stored in a Play Store, they have to add a new functionality. Let's 11th functionality. Currently they have a 10 functionalities. 11th one is accessories. To add that, what they have to do, they have to go in a developer mode, which is a change mode, right? Change mode of application they'll have to go. If somebody in a change mode and if somebody is building something, the existing 10 functionalities will work or no? Will they work for the users already installed in their mobiles? For them it will work or no? Simply no, right? If somebody is changing it, how does it work? It will not work, right? It will not work. So that is the reason you should have a system, dedicatedly one system for development. After developing, you need a one dedicated system to test whether the functionality you built is working correctly. Along with the functionality you newly built, the existing 10 functionalities also working or not, you need to test thoroughly. If everything is perfectly fine in a quality, Then these changes, this copy will move to the production system, which is in a Play Store. The minute these changes are appear here, you will get an update. Hey, please update the Amazon application so that you will see the additional features to it. You will see it or not? Normally you will see it, right? Yes or no? Yes. So that is where your business has to run. Your business should not halt. You have to get a revenue. Everything has to work. The new thing which you want to introduce, for that you should have a dedicated development system where you do a modifications, you do accordingly, and dedicatedly one system to test. If you are modifying it in a still in a development system, you want to test here only, your test will not go fine because you are testing, somebody is going and modifying in a backend. You don't know. We cannot monitor everybody, right? There are thousands of users working in SAP. They are modifying and you are testing. Will you get a right result? Is that possible in real time? No, right? That is the reason dedicatedly we have a test system. Here we will not able to modify anything. And a configuration level, development level, nothing can be modified. This is also stabilizes system like a production. How production system will work, there is a copy before to it, we call it as a quality. Here also you can view, you can test, that's all you can do it, but you cannot modify anything here also. If everything is working fine here, then we'll go for a production system. We'll move the changes. So for whatever we developed, we'll move this copy to here so that this copy will be used by everybody. Let's say business users will use this and they'll get the additional functionalities also, whatever we built. As a consultant or a developer or an engineer, you should understand in every software application side, the minimum system landscape will be development, quality, and production. Why you will have a different systems, you got to know it, right? Understood or not? Okay, simple. Okay, okay. Make it simple. If you want to understand, I'll tell you one more example also. Okay. You have a bike which is now giving some mileage. Let's say in 1 liter, maybe it is running 50 kilometers. You want to do an experiment on it. So will you do it on itself, and will you able to ride on it on the same bike if you have one copy? You will remove everything and you will do it on experiments, right? So if you want to understand that, first what have to do, you have to keep the same copy, one more copy in your garage, and you have to do experiments there. After that, the same will be tested. If everything is perfectly fine, then you will introduce the same to the other one, right? If you have only one, this is not possible, right? Neither you have to stop and work, nor you have to do it. But both the actions cannot be done if you have a one copy. Is that understood or not? Maybe don't know the example I took, but it makes sense, right? Others. Okay. Now the other thing, now you got to know who is your client, right? You understood or not? Who is your client? Who is your customer? Can anyone tell me who is your client or a customer? Customer, in a sense, for whom you are developing an application, that person is called a customer or a client to you. So can somebody tell me in real time what are the job roles we have and how the real time process will work? Let's say here the target is to implement the SAP application to Tata Motors. Our aim is to implement a SAP solution as per Tata Motors business requirement. Now, tell me, Tata Motors itself will have their own in-house software, let's say software team, SAP consultants, and they'll develop or how the process work mostly in a real time. Real time, what they'll do is, okay, there are cases they have in-house software development team, they'll develop for them, that is okay. But 90% of cases, what they'll do is Tata Motors call a quotations from outsiders. Outsiders in the sense who will be providing IT services. In a market, can somebody tell me at least the two companies who are providing IT services? Accenture, Wipro, TCS, Mindtree, Atos, uh, IBM. There are many companies, right? They what they are doing, they'll not work for themselves. They'll work for others also. That is where they'll get a revenue from IT, right? They have a people who are knowledge in SAP and based on their skills, what they'll do, they'll sign agreements with the customers and clients. So once they get a contract for them, they'll assign the people they've hired and they'll work, they'll develop. Out of that, your IT providers will get a salary. Let's say the bid amount. Out of that, they'll pay a salary to you, right? Let's say Tata Motors called a quotation from different vendors. So among us, the Infosys contract agreements, terms and conditions, everything was much agreed by Tata Motors. Then Tata Motors agreed to give a contract to Infosys. So what does it mean? Now Infosys is got selected for a developing this object for Tata Motors. So now if you join in with Infosys, what Infosys will do? Infosys will hire a people who are having a skill in SAP, right? Yes or no? They'll hire people if they have already people. That is secondary, but Infosys got a development contract. So they'll conduct interviews if they are not having a skill set people. So if you go for an interview and you selected in Infosys. So later, what Infosys will do is Infosys will not use you to work for Infosys in-house application. They are also using SAP, but there are less chances to work for Infosys. Still, what Infosys will do is Infosys have signed with Tata Motors, right? Then Infosys ask you to report to the Tata Motors client. Okay, there is a team built. Hey, you work for Tata Motors. They'll assign you to the Tata Motors. Your responsibility is to work as per Tata Motors requirement and a team. Okay, you are not alone in a team. That also will discuss how team will be built, how the roles will be assigned. That things also will discuss. But for now, you joined in Infosys. It doesn't mean that you work for Infosys. Infosys will assign you for some customer or a client. For them, you need to work. Here, your role will be a developer. What is your role? If you join in Infosys, you will be a SAP FICO developer. Who is your client? Tata Motors is my client. RS Wipro is my client. RS TCS is my client. I'm just taking examples. These two are also IT providers. Okay. Now you got it? How real-time process works? If your friend is working for Infosys, it means that he is not working, he may not work for Infosys. There are less chances for him to work for Infosys. 90% of chances to work for other clients where Infosys has signed the contract. So in a contract, everything will be written clearly. So as a implementation plan, we agreed, let's say 8 months or 12 months, whatever duration we agreed, Infosys agreed with the Tata Motors, they have to deliver on time with the quality. All the terms needs to be met. If in case anything failed by Infosys to honor the request, Infosys has to pay a penalty to the Tata Motors. Okay, everything is legally done and everybody has obligation. Okay, otherwise nothing will be delivered, right? That is how it works. Then Tata Motors got a contract with Infosys. Infosys has built this solution. Now, so somebody is there to test, right? Whatever Infosys built, it may not be right, it might wrong. Okay, there can be a chances, right? They missed to deliver something, maybe they delivered something wrong. Somebody is to find out, right? There we need a quality. So once the development is done, whatever you develop, this will be moved to this quality system. How it will move, that we'll discuss in a coming classes. Now let us think. Infosys, whatever so far developed based on Tata Motors request, changes are in quality. So you just think if Infosys team only verifies in a quality also, will you be able to find out a errors, if any? Will you be able to find out? Is that possible? Can somebody tell me? Infosys is only developer. Infosys. Hmm, hmm. Correct. Based on a customer requirement, you need to test it thoroughly so that if something is going wrong, we can find out Infosys has not done something right. Maybe sometimes they've done rightly, but tester maybe test wrongly. That can also possible, right? Yes or no? But in real time, clients will not give a chance to test again for a Infosys. What happens if Infosys also test? If developer and tester also info from a same vendor, there is a possibility that no chances of not finding issues. There is a tolerance, right? You are Infosys, I am Infosys. Let's say, hey, bye bye, chalo, right? There could be a chance, right? And also, as for IT, it is an audit failure. If we do a developer and a tester in the same vendor, same company, the audit will be failed in terms of IT say. That is the reason, again, Tata Motors will call for a quotation to test whatever Infosys develops, the functionality for Tata Motors. To test, they need a dedicated vendor. Again, they'll ask for a quotations from outside IT providers except Infosys. They'll not call again Infosys for a testing quotation. So maybe in this case, Tata Motors is fine with one more quotation from Mindtree. In a market, most of the testing will be done in a projects by Mindtree. Mindtree is known for testing. So the contract got by Mindtree. So again, Mindtree, what Mindtree will do? What Mindtree will do? Mindtree again will recruit a people who are having a SAP knowledge. Okay. So who are also having a testing knowledge more. Based on that, what they'll do, they'll select. If you select here, what is your role here? You will be a tester, right? Tester or quality engineer. Okay. If you join with the Mindtree, okay, your role will be a tester, your designation will be or else quality engineer. Likewise. Again, what Mindtree will tell, hey, I have a contract with Tata Motors. I am assigning you for a Tata Motors. You need to test whatever Infosys develop, you need to test the same in quality system. That is your responsibility. So you got it now? How the system landscape is connecting to the real-time job roles? So you are not working alone with Infosys. Now you have a colleagues from Mindtree also. What is our common goal? Our common goal is to deliver a best outcome to the Tata Motors. Whatever their business requirement, our common goal is to deliver that. That is where we all are working here. Okay. Now, Mindtree testers have tested, they've understood whatever we developed and whatever the business request is, they understood, they've tested, everything is fine. If something is missing, okay, something is not working, something is working wrong, what this tester will say, hey, this supposed to work this like this, you explained me, but it is not working that way. Can you please check? So this guy will again come here and they'll check. Okay, they'll also find out the same issue. So why it is missing? Again, here they'll fix the issue. You always remember in a landscape development system only a modifiable access. Other landscapes are only view purpose. That's all. Can be viewed. If any modification is needed, again we have to go to development. We have to fix the issue here. A minimal testing has to be done. Then this changes move to the quality again. Then this is available for testing again. So once the fix is done, tester will retest. Now if the now functionality is working fine, then this guy will say, hey, I'm giving a sign off. It's working fine. If we got a sign from here, there is another process also. Again, business will test. That is later we'll discuss. But system landscape wise, this is a purpose. Tester will test in a quality system. Now testing is done. The same functionalities we have to hand over to the business in a production system. We'll move the changes to the production system. Once the changes are present in a production system, this system can be used by Tata Motors for their business purpose. Business users or end users are ready to use this. What they'll do, they'll start recording their business transactions. Okay, they'll use it. Is there any guarantee that in a production system nothing will happen, no issue will come? It will work perfectly fine always. Can somebody tell me that way it will work or no? Correct, correct. Definitely. So whatever functionality is there, maybe user don't know how to use it. If he don't know how to use it, that is also a problem, right? You deliver the functionality here. Let's say you delivered how to, you have a functionality to post a vendor invoice here. You have a functionality, but the end user or accountant don't know how to post a vendor invoice. However, you told maybe during a KT time business workshops you conducted, you explained how to post all the transactions. You explained, developer has explained to the business already. But later maybe some new person joined, he don't know well knowledge, the KT has not done correctly. Still there are gaps. Here, issues in terms of there are types of issues. Let's say user issue, process. He don't know the process to be followed. That is also to be a issue. And some there can be a issue. Let's say somebody is working. Yesterday it was working fine. Today it is not working. There is a issue. There is a chances of failure. Failure might come by somebody. Somebody will develop something. He'll only, I told you previous example, right? In Amazon application there are 10 categories already working. 11th category we are implementing maybe later. Testing was not done perfectly, the changes were moved to production. The minute that changes have come to the production, here business seen that maybe 7th functionality as 8th functionality which was already existing was not working correctly. There is an error popping up, right? Then in that case, to support or to fix or to understand, somebody is to there to take care of production system, right? Why production system is that much important? This is a bread and butter to the business. Let's say for a customer, for your customer, production system is a key system. Out of a production system, he'll do all his business operations and he'll get a revenue. Not in development, not in quality, right? The business runs on this system only. Here it will run. If something happens to here and if the system is halting for let's say 2 minutes, 3 minutes, 5 minutes, maybe half an hour, 1 hour, what will happen? The process, whatever damage happen, there the transactions will get stopped. They'll not do a business, right? So that is where somebody is there to take care of production system also. Now Tata Motors again say, hey, I need a quotations, somebody to take care of my production system. How much you charge? Maybe you charge hourly, maybe you charge incidents wise. Let's say how many issues I get based on issues, or else you AMC contract, annual maintenance contract. For every year you have to pay this much. Yeah, then I'll support. Likewise, what if some issue came? You failed to fix in described time. I agreed. There is a big issue came, you agreed, I'll fix the big issue in a 4 hours. What if you fail to fix it in a 4 hours? Further damage. Then the vendor has to pay a penalty to your customer. Everywhere, the terms and conditions are clear. If anybody fails to honor the conditions, they have to pay a penalty. Okay. Let's say here now, what else we have? Can somebody tell me? Let's say PWC is selected. Okay, you know PWC, right? KPNG, PwC, Deloitte. So let's say here PwC is selected. So then PwC be one of the big four company. This is Price Waterhouse and Coopers. Okay. Now, if PwC conduct interview and they ask you for, let's say, if you have a support knowledge, because they got a contract in a support. So when they are interviewing, obviously they'll look for a person who is having a knowledge in a support project. So if you select here, you will be a support consultant or engineer. Okay, designations doesn't matter. Okay, in every organization they'll look your skill set. Okay, what are your job roles? That is important. But the roles may be different names, but the work you do is same. Okay, if you select here, you will be a support consultant. Then PwC will tell you, hey, you have to work for Tata Motors support. You have to support for Tata Motors. You got it? Based on a system landscape, how the roles will be, and how in real time it works. You got an idea now? So, and again, I'm telling this is a basic system landscape you need to tell, or you need to understand. It's not that you will always have for all the customers or clients, you have a development, quality, production. No, there is a possibility they can have two more systems. What is that? One is a sandbox, they can have it. If they wish to have it, they can have it. It depends on a budget, how much budget they have, that many system landscapes, that many systems they can configure. This is sandbox. What does it mean by sandbox? Meantime, can somebody tell me if you know it? Correct. Correct. Okay. The other one is pre-production. Okay. Between your quality to production, there can be a possibility, if the client is having a more budget, they'll have a pre-production in between. Production to quality, there is a pre-production. Once the testing is done, again they'll move the changes to the pre-production system, and again they'll do a testing there. Why? Because the data, whatever data available in production, which is similar to the production system available in a pre-production, also mirror. Data will be mirrored from production system to pre-production, pre-production system to quality, quality to development. Development mostly they'll not bring, but till quality they'll mirror the production data. Why they'll mirror a production data to your pre-production or a quality system? Because when you are testing, you will get a desired result. Okay, similar to production, what will happen? The same will happen in your production and quality. If you have a same data of a production. So this is a more validation purpose. And sandbox in a sense, uh, how much you play in a sand, will there be any damage to the sand? No, right? No. Initially, if you want to have, so if you want to show any workshop to the customer, let's say Tata Motors accounts team is there, they have a management team, they want to see how they want to feel system, how SAP system looks like, how the screens will be, how the vendor posting invoice screen will be, how the customer invoice screen will be. They want to see it, how the transaction runs, how does P&L account looks, how does balance sheet looks. They have some concern. If you give a sandbox, if you build something to show to the customer, if you build it, if you show them, if you give access to that, they'll go and they'll play, and they'll get some awareness, right? That is where if the client has a budget, they can also have a sandbox. This is more to do experiments. Okay, when there is a new functionality, something you need to build, you can play around here. Okay, that is where this. In this case, how many system landscape you have? What is your landscape? If somebody asks you, let's say if I am working in a project where I have a sandbox, development, quality, pre-production and production, then I should say my client system landscape is 5. We have a sandbox, we have a development, we have a quality, we have a pre-production and production. But you cannot say that there is no possibility to say I have only development and production. No, you should have a quality also. This is a minimum system landscape everybody should have. It's not only in SAP application. If you talk about any software application, this is how system landscape will work. I hope you guys understood, right?